we have time, then we'll kind of get back to those and answer as many as we have time. All right, so we're gonna quickly go through the agenda of what we're gonna cover today. So we're gonna go through a quick company introduction. We're gonna be talking about some of the applications, but we're gonna be focusing more on the applications, on how the batteries get used in those applications. So we'll talk more further on that. We're gonna talk about the thin plate pure lead or TPPL technology. We're gonna learn quite a bit of that. And of course, the energy storage portfolio. We're going to talk about all the offerings that are available now and you can purchase and size them and whatnot. And finally, we're going to go through system solutions that we offer with those batteries. And again, throughout the the PPT, feel free to ask any questions away, and I'll try to keep an eye on them. Okay, so late December of 2008, Alpha Enersys, or Alpha and OutBack Power, was acquired by Enersys. So for those of you that don't know who Enersys is, they are a global leader in stored energy solutions that manufactures batteries for all sorts of reserve power and motive power, such as telecom, broadband, industrial, renewable, data centers, just to name a few. And you perhaps you might not even know them by the name, but you may know them by the fact that you may have already benefited in some of these products, some of these batteries, because they are meant for like forklifts, in fleet vehicles, cargo vehicles, and things like that. Funny story is, for the last I don't know 12 years that we've had the same forklift here at OutBack Power in the warehouse. We've serviced that battery in the forklift, year after year, and we've all kind of picked at it. But it didn't really click on me until recently when I looked at it again, and I just realized that, hey, this is an Enersys battery. So all this time we've had this Enersys battery. So who would have thought, right? So check your truck, check your other devices, and who knows, maybe you have a Enersys battery in there. Okay, so here are some of the other systems that we do enable. Apart from all the energy storage products that we manufacture across many industrial applications, we also make storage products for defense, space, and medical equipment. In fact, recently we shipped thousands of our cyclone batteries for the ventilators devices. So on bottom right-hand corner, you'll see a device that kind of looks like a ventilator that are kind of deployed all over the U.S. right now to help folks that have some breathing issues. So we just deployed thousands of those recently. So it makes me feel better, that we're trying to do our best and to help during these times. And on side of that, here's a project that Enersys is working with NASA to develop a battery system that will back up a critical electronic powering the steering of the launch abort system on this new spacecraft, as an option that was not available in the previous spacecraft models. So this is exciting being part of this project, since it's the first time man has ever gone back to space since Apollo 17 in 1972. So it's an honor, for all of us to be part of that. And this shows, how how important it is for us to meet this high quality standards, as it could save lives. Okay, so we're gonna jump into the renewable applications. But before we do that, we do have a poll that I'd like to start here, and feel free to just answer as many as you get the chance. Give it a minute. Okay, so that's been a minute, and let's go ahead and close that guy. Okay, so it looks like we have 22% none, 1 to 5, 27%, 11% 5 to 10, and 41% 10 or plus. So as shy of half of us, are going to be doing installs 10 or more for the next year. So that's pretty good. Alrighty. Thanks for doing that. Okay, I had a couple questions about if you guys are going to get a copy of the slides, and yes, we're going to make this available for all of you that made the attendance. And in case you don't, I'll leave my email at the end of the deck, so you can kind of keep that as a reference, and feel free to give me an email. Okay, so over the last few decades, the solar application has been defined, and it seems like every decade it gets redefined into something new, just because it's been a moving target with all these changes that have been happening. In the early days of solar plus storage, you basically had two applications. You had your traditional off-gridder, that lived in the mountains or in the woods and had a small cabin that was off-grid, right? And then shortly after, we had the grid direct with battery backup system. So that was the second most common application. However, in recent years, the market has introduced new applications that involve smarter energy management and ways for the batteries to get used. But for our focus today is not the applications themselves, but rather how are the batteries being used in such applications. So for example, in a self-consumption or behind the meter system, is when the homeowner is not allowed to sell back to the power. But instead, the solar power that gets harvested during the day, it gets used to consume the house loads during the day, and then the excess will charge the batteries. And at night, when the batteries are full, we'll take that stored energy and feed it back to the house to consume that until the batteries are discharged, and then the whole new cycle happens the next day. So these are just two, typical applications, but there are a few others that many of you have heard, such as, self-consumption, AC coupling, time of use, tier rate structures. All these systems have different ways, different profiles on how the batteries get used. And what the battery sees on the other side is, well, they get cycled very deeply and very often. They stay in a partial state of charge for long periods of time. And really, this partial state of charge is the #1 battery killer. When you don't use the proper battery or the proper practices, this practice can definitely shorten the life of the battery, which we'll touch more base on this here in the future. Various discharge and charge rates, so you can be charging, at 100 amps one time, and you can drop down to 10 amps and back up to 200 amps. So the rates vary up and down. Same with discharges, and some batteries don't. They have to be capped as to what is the maximum current they can accept or discharge. So then you may have to modify your equipment to accommodate for that. So then you lose some of that extra power that you could be used if by not having that battery that could accept a higher charge rate. And also, batteries, they go through extreme stress and miss maintenance charges. That's just the way it goes, right? Okay, moving on. So here are two real system examples taken from our OpticsRE monitoring platform. So the top graph is a perfect example of what an off-grid system that gets cycled on a daily basis looks like. So notice the red bars there versus the green bars. So the red bars is the energy taken out from the batteries during the night. So you imagine the green bars is when the sun comes out during the day and comes down sunset, and then the homeowners come in during the night in the evening, use the battery power, and then they'll stay discharged until the next morning. And same cycle happens all over again. So this is what you would consider a off-grid daily cycle, battery. So if I was this homeowner, I would go with a battery that has the highest cycle life, and so that I know that if I install a battery bank, it's going to last me the most that I would want it to, based on my conditions. The next one down here is standby backup. So this is what you would, be a pretty traditional battery backup system, where the batteries are typically maintained in a trickle charge or a float charge, 24/7 at 100% state of charge until there is a power outage or a power disruption. It's when the batteries will kick in and back up those essential loads in your house. So here on April 3rd, you can see that we have a very small power outage, just maybe a flicker, and it was only for 30 minutes or so, maybe less, and then batteries came back up. It was just a small discharge, batteries came back up. On April 4th, you see that there was a longer, deeper discharge where the batteries got discharged down to under 50%. So, which is pretty acceptable for this type of applications. So again, this kind of gives you a overview, a profile of how batteries get used, based on the applications they're in. Okay, so in summary, what makes the most sense in renewables today? So if you had to make a wish list for, what is the perfect battery, perhaps you might have one of these in your list. Well, I want a battery that can provide maximum energy throughput or cycle life, right? Be economically viable for customers, not just my sales channel, but also my homeowners and installers. They have to be affordable. Three, can operate in any extreme temperatures. Here is a picture of a desert, in Arizona, perhaps. That's, one profile. And Alaska is going to be very different. In South and Mexico, it's going to be a lot different as well. So, one battery should be able to adjust in many different applications for temperature. The ability to change operations based on regulatory changes with minimal negative effect. This is a big one. We do talk a lot about with our customers on this one, where they have a battery-based system, and they have a net meter agreement that is going to end in 12 months or less than that. And after that program ends, then they want to go to behind the meter consumption or self-consumption, and they are interested in switching their batteries to a battery model that can support those applications. It can be on float, it can be in partial state of charge, it can cycle, it can charge fast, recharge fast. Those are some of the things that we've heard from the voice of the customer, which, because of that, we do have a couple very exciting new products that will be going over today. The other one is, can safely transport commercially without special hazmat certifications. Lead, it's being transported for decades, sometimes centuries. So they're considered non-hazmat on the AGM VRLA batteries. So there's no special practices that need to be done for flooded lead acid batteries or lithium batteries. Those have their own type of rating with their own practices. But this is focused more on the lead acid side. So, we can say that these batteries do not require anything special on that. The other one is they can be physically easy to install without safety risk to a person. On the bigger systems, some manufacturers, they do provide tools for lifting tools and lifting methods for you to make sure that you install these battery systems in a safely manner and in a timely manner and without anyone getting hurt. And my favorite, and many of you may also be getting into the aesthetics of this. I know I can be a little bit of a nerd when it comes to aesthetics and spiffing my garage and with LED light strips and other things. People want that look. They want their energy system to look like an appliance. Their fridge, they're pretty cool looking, and they don't want this clunky box, with wires everywhere. They want a nice, soft, cool looking device that can be mounted on the garage door. So that's, all these items are probably in your wish list and probably many more. Okay, so just how we talked about how the renewable market has been evolving from the traditional off-grid to the smart energy management system, battery technology have also followed suit to keep up with the demand. So from the beginnings, perhaps some of you, or maybe I've heard or know someone that have used golf cart batteries, perhaps forklift batteries, you know, use them for off-grid use. You know, this was the go-to method, you know, or the go-to battery back in the day, you know, in the 80s, in the 90s. Even recently, you know, I still talk to people that still have these batteries for 10 plus years, and they're very happy with them. And you know, for that reason, why they were being used, you know, they had some, you know, drawbacks because they do require a lot of maintenance. They're heavy, you know, they take a lot of floor space because they have to be, you know, upright, and you're gonna have to jump from one place to the other to read their voltages and whatnot. So it's a big mess, but you know, we've gone a long way since then. In the early 2010s is when we first introduced our very first front terminal AGM VRLA battery with lead alloy. You know, this was a very great battery, offered 1800 cycles, maintenance free, had a, you know, it could be installed in our IBR racks. It was really nice. Our customers loved it. But you know, we wanted more cycle life out of the batteries, so then we came out with the lead alloy plus carbon battery, AGM VRLA as well, which was the same footprint as the previous one, but just with added a newer technology. So offers twice as much the cycle life. Recently, we came out with the thin plate pure lead, or TPPL technology, but with an added carbon in a negative plate. And we'll get more into this, so I won't spill the beans here yet, as that's going to be a big topic. So without further ado, let's do that actually. Okay, so what is TPPL technology? So before I go any further, I made a note here on this slide. If you notice at the bottom right hand corner, there's a square that says Modern Marvels. So if you guys don't recall, Disney Channel made a show on Modern Marvels probably in the 2000s, I would say, and Enersys was one of them. So we don't have time today, but you know, on your leisure time, if you have some spare time, then perhaps go online and you know, go on YouTube and then search Modern Marvels, Enersys batteries, and then that'll be the first video that shows up, and it's really cool. I really do recommend it. Okay, so getting into what is TPPL technology. So really, there's three parts to understand what TPPL technology is. So the first part is the thickness of how the plates are being made. Each plate is made about to 1 mil thickness, versus a traditional is 5 to 7 millimeters. So that tells you a big difference, you know. So between a traditional 5 to 7, you know, you can fit what, like 5 to 7 of these in the same footprint. So you can pack a lot more of these thin plates on the same footprint or jar of the battery. So what does that mean? Well, it means that because you have more of these plates stacked together, you gain about 20% more energy density because of the extra plates, you know, the surface area. You gain 20% more. The other one is that you get a higher charge acceptance and discharge. Because of the thin plates, there's less resistance and they're compacted very tight. So so the current will just flow right through without any creating any heat or any negative effect, which that's going to be one of the benefits that we'll be talking about. Second part of this is the pure lead. So the pure lead refers to the purity of the raw material used in the construction of the grid. So the plates, there's no calcium, there's no antimony, that will require mechanical compression, which will reduce the grid corrosion. So first of all is, this raw lead is not a recycled lead that we buy from recyclers. This is freshly raw mined lead that we buy from the miners, and then we molted that into our grids and formed the plates. So and it is about 99.9% pure lead. So there's almost no impurities. So that allows the user to take advantage of that long life, because there's no a difference in metals, and it will not corrode. Now the third part of this is the state-of-the-art automated manufacturing process. So how the jars are made, and how the thin plates are compressed and then inserted into the jar itself without breaking them. If you handle a lead plate just on its own, it's kind of like a pasta noodle. You lift it up, and then the sides will just droop down and eventually break. So that's why only state-of-the-art machines can handle these cells, and then compress them and stack them, so that they don't lose their integrity over its lifetime. Okay, so here are the the 4 core benefits of the high purity and high grade materials of TPPL technologies. So first, the low self-discharge. So because of the purity metals, the batteries will not discharge at a higher rate compared to other batteries that have alloys. So you're looking at between 24 months for pure lead versus a 6-month for a lead alloy battery. Low flow current. So the batteries will use less energy or current to keep the batteries up during float. So essentially, will give you a less total cost of ownership because of you're using less resources. Less corrosion rate, about 25% longer than an AGM battery because of the metals. And the large surface area, low resistance, will have a greater low temp. So these these plates, because of the purities, they generate little to no heat, right? Okay, so just got a quick question. Are we going over the batteries, or will you be going over inverters and controllers? Yeah, so the purpose of this is to introduce the offerings of the batteries. This is just part of a background, but we will get there here shortly. All right. Looks like we're still doing good time here, so we're moving along. Okay, so on the left-hand side, you have a lead calcium plate. On the right, a pure lead plate. And this is based on a AFL, or accelerated float life testing. And you can see how the lead calcium grid shows mechanical failure on just 320 days versus the pure lead grid is over 400 days of testing and has its grid fully intact. So as you can see, the lead calcium has a long formed in its grid that that got developed by oxidation that created that mechanical failure. Here on the left-hand side, we have the shelf life graph followed by the float life chart. So the red is a TPPL battery. You can tell how under these conditions, it provided us 24 months versus 6 months. Or on the right-hand side, it provided us shy of 20 years of float life versus 14 years for a lead calcium battery. So there's a significant amount of increase in life. And on the left here, we have the water loss with pure versus lead calcium. So you can see how the pure lead, the water loss is at a much lower rate versus the lead tin, and again, that's because of the higher efficiency and how it can recombine internally those gases back into electrolyte. On the right, we have the relationship between amps and temperature while charging for lead calcium versus lead. So you can see how the at the bottom is the amps and the top is the temperature. So it is increased for the lead calcium versus TPPL, pretty on par. Okay, here's the last slide before we jump into the energy storage portfolio. So we talked about, briefly on different applications and how those batteries have, been changing over years, improving to keep up with the demand and whatnot. Thin plate pure lead is one way to go towards that direction. Now, on the other hand, we also have a battery option that has the thin plate pure lead benefits, but with an added a carbon additive into the negative plate. What is carbon, you may say? Well, carbon is a additive that gets mixed in with a negative active material paste. And why is it important? Well, as you may recall, we talked about how many we talked about, how the nature of certain applications may cause the batteries to stay in a partial state of charge in a prolonged periods of time. So this causes a negative effect, and it's where a carbon addition can come in and help with that. So in other words, when you have an application that keeps the battery discharged for a long period of time is when a battery will start to develop what is called a crystalline deposits. And these crystalline deposits, they start to grow kind of like a virus. They'll start to grow, or like a rust. That's a better example. The rust will start to grow throughout the plate, and overall, if that rust takes over the entire plate, well, you have a dead plate, right? And there's two types of these deposits. The first one is a deposit that can be reversed by a EQ charge or a high voltage charge for a long period of time. The second type is a hard crystalline deposit that cannot be broken down, and that effect cannot be reversed. At that point, the battery is no longer can be in service. So what does the carbon do? Well, the carbon is a additive that attempts to reverse this condition before it happens. So it's an assurance that, when you keep a battery discharged for long periods of time, it starts to work its it's a reversal process through the carbon additive. So, once someone told me that H doesn't cause sulfation, boredom does. So if you have your battery sitting there doing nothing, well, they're most likely getting sulfated. So number one rule is to make sure that those batteries are fully charged, right? They're not being used. Okay, we're gonna jump into the energy storage portfolio, and we're gonna do just one more poll here. Okay, so that was 1 minute, and looks like we have the majority of you guys are in the process of deciding which battery to go to, and 32% are going to lithium iron phosphate and AGM VRLA, followed by flooded lead acid, and then lastly lithium iron or lithium nickel manganese cobalt. Oh, that's pretty good diverse. Cool. Alrighty, so let's jump back into our energy storage portfolio. So just a quick background. So NorthStar Battery, a company, was recently acquired by Enersys. So we are all one big family now. So the Blue Plus batteries, have been first introduced back in late November, and since then they have been become the staple product for our small to medium systems. They offer, we do offer a capacity range between 40 amp hours to 210 amp hours, and all in the front terminal form factor, as you can see here. The case is just a little bit different. Some may be not as tall, others not as deep, but we do have the data sheet for those if you'd like to know more about those. These batteries offer 2,050 cycles at 50% DLD. This battery does have its proprietary thin plate pure lead technology, or TPPL, that provides increased plate surface area and high energy density. The carbon added to the negative plate increases power and also reduces sulfation. So here's the kicker. Ultra fast recharge with no current limit allows design flexibility and maximized solar harvest. So this battery has no current limit. So you can charge as much as you can with in this battery on a single string. So you can have 10 radians, 5 radians. You can charge a single string. There's no limit. The batteries will self-regulate how much current they can take at the end of the bulk cycle, and then it'll taper down, down to the end amps value. But initially for the bulk, there is no limit on that. So gives you flexibility. When you have a large system but don't have the budget for a big battery system, you can start with 1 string and then in the future go up to 3 or 4 strings. So the best service life and up to 2 years of shelf life. Yeah, so this great. The 2 shelf life, it's great for 2 reasons. For distributors, obviously, if you want to buy them and stock them in your warehouse, well, they can last for 2 years without the need to even worry about it or do a boost charge, this and that. For installers, we all know that sometimes jobs don't go as smooth as they used to. So having that deployment flexibility is really good in case they have to sit in the warehouse until the job gets approved. Then we can take them on site and finish the project. The wide temperature, -40°C up to 149°C, a 3-year warranty, and we are pending a UL 9540, so that's coming. It's going to be great for folks in California and Hawaii that this is going to become a requirement. So this whole system with an IBR and the Blue Plus, all going to be listed for UL 9540. And of course, at the end of its life, everything, you can call us or call your a local a recycler, and they can come out, pick them up, and give you some scrap money for the lead. And these are made in the U.S. We stock these in Suwanee, Georgia. Usually they ship, within a week, if not sooner. So if you want batteries quick, that are great for off-grid, or backup, this is a good battery for that. Sorry, I was getting some messages. Can you see the slides now? Okay, great, perfect. Sorry about that. Sometimes the polls they get stuck up there. Okay, so moving on. So speaking of the Blue Plus batteries, here's a system example currently deployed in Springfield, Missouri, designed for peak demand response. The system is composed of over 1,100 individual 12-volt batteries configured in 2 strings of 1,000 volts DC using the NSB 210FT Blue Plus batteries that was originally commissioned in 2017 and ever since been working flawlessly. So, these are 2 containers that were completely sourced by NorthStar, installed by NorthStar, and also commissioned. And the aesthetics are just amazing. Me being a LED geek, I look at this and I love it. It looks great. So you have 2 aisles. Each aisle is 1 string of 1,000 volts. And then they have the power electronics on a different container, but this is just for the energy storage. Here's another example. This is based in the Ozark Mountains in Missouri. This time they're using 10 stacked irradiance that is up to 80 kilowatts with 6 48-volt strings of the NSB Blues 2-volt batteries. And is really designed to be a self-consumption with battery backup, with all this equipment. And this mansion, actually, it's actually very interesting if you have a time to read more about it. It's made all from concrete, but just to give you an idea, it is over 72,000 square feet total, and the White House is about 55,000 square feet as a reference. So this kind of gives you an idea how big this place is. it's really amazing. It's really cool. There's 92 acres worth of property there that it's owned. It's been working ever since, so it's good to hear that. All right, so we're gonna move on to our next battery. This is our EnergyCell PLR, pure lead runtime. This is also a thin plate pure lead battery. We only offer one model, which is a 200 amp hour front terminal. This battery offers 1500 cycles at 50% DLD, offers 15 year of standby life. So it means that it can sit and float for 15 years before it hits its end of life. And again, as we talked about, the pure lead, reduces corrosion, high charge rate current acceptance with no limit. Again, with the no limit current acceptance gives you that flexibility into oversizing the charger. 18 months shelf life at 25C. And the jars are UL 95V0, so they're a flame retardant. And the Blue Plus and also the PLR are also en route to get it UL 9540 listed. So look for that. It's coming soon. All right, now this is an exciting new battery option that we have introduced also not too long ago. It's the XLC AGM VRLA plus carbon high capacity. So this is a battery cell that is AGM VRLA that has the carbon additive that we talked about, but is in a high capacity format. So this battery can support up to 1,220 amp hours at the C100 rate, and you can stack up to 3 of them if you want to increase capacity. That's the recommended amount of systems you can stack. The standard cell configuration is 4x6. Unfortunately, that's the only standard that we have. If you do not want the rack, you want to build your own rack, there is ways for us to just sell you the cell, and you can configure them in a different configuration. But this is how we are offering this complete solution. So this also comes with a negative additive in the negative plate. So it has those benefits with partial state of charge and all those things. Modular design saves on installation time. So as you can see, there is 4 different modules that are stacked on top of each other and then bolted down. So each one of these modules can be hinged or or pulled up from a tool and then stacked on top of each other. I've seen people use like A-frame or some type of hydraulic tool that can lift them up, or you can pull the cells each individually if there's no space issues. Also, so the whole system comes with an OutBack branded steel cabinet. So what you see here is exactly how it comes. In addition, there are covers that cover all these connections. So there's 4 panels that get screwed in, so it's all slick, all in one piece. You don't even know what it is. It's kind of just looks like an appliance, or a tool shed that's in your garage. So aesthetically, it looks really cool. The other nice thing about this is that it only extends about 45% less than a traditional system sitting on splice floor. And I do have a drawing showing the differences between that. So, for those of you that have areas that don't have much footprint or floor space, this might be an option for you to save some of that space. 10-year warranty, that's a standard, a full replacement. And when you pair the XLC with the Flex Power Radiant System Edge package together, you get a 10-year warranty all around. you know, so you get the battery 10 years and the power electronics 10 years. So, you know, that allows you to have that extra, you know, peace of mind with everything having that warranty period with no additional cost. And again, you know, the whole materials can be recycled, being lead. And this guy also, we do stock, so we can have this out the door shipped within 1 to 2 weeks. So it's nice. Okay, running a little bit out of time, so I'm going to go a little bit quicker. But so here on the right is the XLC, how you can see how they're stacked, you know, one by one. Each one of these modules, they weigh about 1,000 pounds. So you would mount some eye bolts on each corner with some straps, and then, you know, you can lift them with a tool. So what that means is that if you have the proper tools, you can save up to 40% in installation time if you go that route. Also, you don't have to worry about missing components, missing hardware, because everything is, if in case you haven't seen one of these, but we shipped one crate empty with nothing else except all the hardware. So we want to make sure that nothing gets loosed or, you know, banged up or whatever, so that everything, when you're on site, you have everything that you need. Great aesthetics, you know, and non-conductive coating to the front panels for added safety. Yeah, so once you close the doors in the front, it's not going to conduct any electricity, so you're not going to weld your cover to the front of the battery, so that's going to be good to go. Okay, so this is what I was talking about, how, you know, much space saving the XLC can provide. So here, from the wall, against the wall, it'll give you about 21.18 inches depth versus like a DDM or a high capacity 1100 RE, it's about 37.5. The old 1100 NC was 26.3. So you do gain that, you know, that space there, that's space floor, only because it is a little bit taller, you know, but for the most cases, people can manage having the product being taller than to take more space, you know, from the wall to the floor. Here's another example using Blue Ion, Simplify, and Discover. You know, 21.1 inches versus 14, Discover, 24 inches in the Blue Ion, and 8 inches for the Simplify. Okay, moving on to the high capacity RE batteries. So, you know, this battery has also been a staple with OutBack. You know, it's our go-to for high capacity batteries. We do have a portfolio of different capacities ranging from 800 to 2700 amp hours. They offer 1800 cycles at 50% DOD. 80-year cycle life on standby or a standby float application. And one thing that I wanted to focus on this is that we do sell standard racks that they are configured at the factory. But if you have any special like request, you know, like if you need a battery that needs to be like 3x8 instead of 4x6 because, you know, your space it's kind of limited, or if you wanted like 2x12, you know, just something crazy like that, we can customize these racks, you know, on any of these capacities. So, you know, keep that in mind. The lead time may be a little bit longer, but, you know, if you just want to kind of run that exercise with us, I'll be more than happy to kind of help you out on that. And these racks also come as an optional with Zone 4 seismic reading. So we have NEBs if that, or UBC if that's a requirement. So apart from that, again, they're very flexible. the terminals, they may be configured at the standard top, or the side. So that can also be specified. The top, the STD is probably the most common one that we sell. And the bottom here, it's the second most popular one that people pick. It just depends, like if we have a floor or other objects that cover those terminals, and it makes sense to move, to move them around. And here's some of the sizes, how they will look like as far as height. Here's 4 feet. There's a 24-volt configuration. There's a 48-volt configuration. So you can see how they do get a little bit taller once you go with 48 volts, because we have double the cells on each system. Okay, so we're moving on to the FLA batteries. So these are the flooded lead acid batteries that we've sold for some time, and it's been very popular in areas in Latin America and Alaska and down in Hawaii. These are considered to be are very economical but robust battery. Folks like to be hands-on. They're old school. They like to stick with a battery technology that has been proven and worked for them for 20+ years. Then this is the way to go. The 295 with 1200 amp hours or 1200 cycles is considered to be like a T105K size. The 525 is considered to be like an L16 size. And the 1400 is, just a tall 2-volt cell. So, these offer between 1200 to 2800 cycles. So it's, it's not as great as like the TPPL plus carbon batteries, but they're pretty on par, and they're great for starters. I also wanted to talk about the kit options that we offer for the FLAs. So when you buy FLA batteries, they come as is. There's no interconnects or watering systems or racks or tubs or anything. But we do sell this additional self-watering enclosure kit that comes with 2.5-gallon water tank, a buoyant water hoses, case, straps, and interconnect cables. All comes in one kit. So all you have to do is, make the connections and mount the tank, and it's pretty much, good to go. It's a turnkey solution for folks that, want to save a few bucks and don't like the idea of maintaining the battery. So this system will extend that free maintenance cycles. At this point, we do sell the 525 FLA. We do have that in stock. The 925 is made to order. So if you call our sales guys, you might expect a difference in lead times between the 925 and the 295, but we do have them available on both. Okay, so we jump into the high capacity top terminal batteries. So this one offers 650 cycles at 50% DLD. Again, this is the NorthStar battery. It's a thin plate pure lead, a TPPL. So it does have that more cost, because of the TPPL, compared to another one that we're about to show here shortly. So this is great. We have them in 90 and 125 amp hours in the top terminal battery. So the main takeaway on this battery is that, unlike the cycle life, that is 650, but it means that it can operate in a temperature of 65 C, or sorry, up to 40 C, because that's what its rated power versus the 25 that you're used to. So this battery is designed for like outside plant, applications where they're constantly outside and the temperature swings quite a bit, from cold to hot. So this battery is designed to do that. Lastly, we have the EnergyCell TT. This is a battery that it's currently being developed, and we are expecting it to be released by end of this year. It's more of the economical side of a front from terminal battery. It's going to be about 116 amp hours and 115 amp hours at C100. Group sizes is 27 and 31. They will offer 500 cycles at 50% DOD, 12-year standard life, 12-month shelf life, and again, this battery is also comes from the outside plant, inside plant world where a temperature is not controlled and it gets cycled quite a bit. So this battery can perform well in our applications. Okay, so sorry if we're kind of going beyond, but I promise this is like third to last slide. So if we have to go ahead. So this is the application guide with all of our battery offerings that we just kind of went through one by one. And here on the left is what the applications could fit that battery. So if we go one by one, so the red MTTs, they're great for off-grid or grid tied, or mobile marine. Keep in mind that these are low cycling batteries, but the price does make a big difference on that. So if you want something inexpensive that can cycle, that can float, that can do all that, then that's the great battery. The Blue Plus, again, it's our staple product and everyone loves it. It's very versatile. It can do just about everything. It can do off-grid. It can do energy management, with non-export, mobile marine, AC coupling, tier rates, time of use. The PLR is designed more for like a backup application with maybe minimal cycling here and there. So we have it as grid tie with battery backup, AC coupling, and mobile marine. FLA, kind of like starting battery, off grid. It's a great start, or mobile marine. The high cap REs, off grid, obviously, grid tie battery backup, AC coupling, and some commercial applications. XLC, great for off grid. Time of use, tier rates, AC coupling, and non-export or even commercial. So here's some ideas that kind of get you going as to where you might want to head towards on each one of these batteries. Sorry about that. Okay, so quickly, system solutions. So we kind of talked about joining Enersys because they have really good energy storage options. Joining with Alpha because they have all the power electronics for broadband and whatnot, and OutBack Power because we offer all the power electronics for off-grid, grid tied. So we all kind of got together, married, and then came up with, System Edge that brings all those synergies together and offer you a one system, one SKU, one part number a system. It kind of looks like this, really. Fully pre-wired, system, inverter, battery rack. The warranty boost is great. A distributor, so you don't have to stock any of this. It's all shipped direct from the factory. Installers, there's minimal design because it's all designed for you because they're all pre-packaged. And end users, well, we have the built, they're pretty reliable and pretty good warranty, right? Over 10 years. So here are some examples: energy management, energy backup, off-grid, and AC coupled applications. So feel free to go into our website and look under System Edge Solutions And all these are the systems that we offer, that we have in stock. A lot of these, again, they have a 1 to 2 week lead time. So if we need this quick, then we can get those for you.